Good morning, friends. Today we're going to be making a minestrone soup. A lot of it. Alrighty, here's the majority of our ingredients. Baby carrots, diced tomatoes with some chilies, some baby potatoes, some tomato sauce, garlic, onions pre-chopped from my freezer, a chicken smoked sausage, a Polish kielbasa. We have leaf spinach, dark red kidney beans, garbanzo beans, some orzo, and celery. I'm gonna get to cutting. First thing I'm gonna do is chop up these sausages and get the garlic and the onions and the sausage together, frying in a saucepan, because we want to get a nice char on these pieces of meat that seals the flavor inside the meat so that it doesn't, just get completely bland. And we'll be right back at the stove. Alrighty, so this is the pot I'm making the minestrone in. And we are preheating the pot so that it will cook that sausage and get a good char on it. Now, see how thick that bottom is and how it's got a central copper core? It's really, really good to have very heavy bottomed cookware. Stuff just doesn't burn the same way as it does with small bottoms. Alrighty, we're gonna get this sausage in here now. All right, now, those little black bits on the bottom of the pan from it charring, that's called fond. And you want that in the bottom of your pan because once you add your liquids, it will come up off the bottom of the pan and add a lot of flavor to your soup. Okay, so don't be afraid of that bit of char on the bottom. That's actually a lot of flavor for you. All right, that was the chicken sausage. Now we just added the beef and pork. And the beef and pork will let off more fat. And get it up nice and charred. We'll get the onions soon. Now, I will not be adding any salt to this recipe at all, because this being a pantry challenge kind of recipe, as you can tell by all the canned goods and the dry goods, all of those cans already have salt in them, and I am on a low salt diet. So I won't be adding any, and I would recommend, if you're making it yourself and you're not on a salt restricted diet, you should still taste it after adding all your canned vegetables in, because each one of those canned vegetables is going to have some salt in it, and so will the tomato puree, and so will the stock that we're going to add to it. So there could be enough salt in it already, even for you guys. Now that is a very large bag of onions. It's a gallon-size bag from my freezer, and I'm going to use about half of it because I am going to fill up this pot with soup. So it'll take a half a bag. Okay, so there's with our onions. And as the onions give off their moisture, they will help to lift that fond off of the bottom of the pan. Gonna go do the garlic. Alrighty, so there's our minced garlic. I used a garlic press to prepare it. Let's get that in. Okay, now that there's a lot of liquid from the onions, I don't know if you can see this, but that fond is moving very easily because the liquid of the onions has loosened it up, just like soaking a pan, you know, so we got to stir the bottom of this really well to get all that fond up off the bottom of the pan so that it's actually in the soup to help flavor it. Oops, I'm getting you a little steamy. Sorry. See how easily it comes up now? It's just, all you gotta do is scrape past it and it's gone. Alrighty, now we're gonna add in our garlic. Alrighty, we're gonna start putting in our cans. Kidney beans. Our bonzo beans, including the agua faba. That's the water that they're packed in. And the tomatoes with chilies. Now we'll get our beef stock, our carrots, our chicken stock. You can see the celery in there already. I forgot to show you that. Sorry. We've got spinach to go. This is going to be a killer soup. Okay, now since we're doing a pantry staple meal, I'm using this chicken stock. Before I started making my own, I purchased some to be in my pantry, and this is the oldest. So even though I have my own chicken stock, I'm going to be using this up because of rotating stock. All right. Now let's stir that in. Look at all these beautiful veggies in here. Oh, I still gotta add my carrots. Haven't done the pasta yet either. Oh, that looks so good. Haven't done any spices yet. Wonderful. Alrighty, we're finishing up the minestrone. And I did some research on it, and it has to be 50% liquid, 50% solids when you can it. And that minestrone of mine is really thick. So I'm gonna add some, a quart of beef broth to it also, and probably some water. But those potatoes are gonna be going in. The larger ones I'm gonna cut in half. I took a quarter cup of this Italian seasoning and a half a cup of the parsley flakes, and I took them to my mortar and pestle and ground them all up real good. So I just moved them in this bowl because the mortar and pestle is heavy. And that's the beef broth that I'm gonna add in. Now, when you're canning minestrone is traditionally served with either rice or pasta inside of it. But you cannot can rice nor pasta. So I'm not making enough of this orzo to do the whole thing. We will just have to make the pasta as we take the jars of minestrone soup out and use them. So I will be making a little bit of the orzo though, for me and my son to enjoy the soup that we did fresh before I can it. Alrighty. Okay, I dished my dinner out already because I want it all nice and thick. But in my research, it said that you have to have 50% liquid and 50% solids when you're canning it. Otherwise, the temperatures aren't evenly distributed. So, since I have to water it down, I added some more spices like I just showed you. And hold on a sec. Okay. I had to open the beef broth. So I'm gonna put in a quart of beef broth, and you can see all the little potatoes I added, and I cut them up where they were too large. I wanted to put in Brussels sprouts, But the Brussels sprouts won't make it through the canning. I know they'll just fall apart, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just have to add Brussels sprouts when I prepare it. Now, I'm just basically going to I'm not going to can this tonight. I'm going to can it tomorrow. I'm going to let these herbs meld, and tomorrow the broth will be very thick now that I added all of those herbs, because it was perfectly spiced when I tasted it a few minutes ago. So what I'm going to do is use a spider strainer to take the solids out and put the solids in the jars for canning. That spider strainer right there. And I will put the solids to fill each of my quart jars up halfway first, and then I will water down the liquid that is left to taste, because it was perfectly seasoned and I didn't add anything to it, just from the seasoning that was in all the different canned vegetables and the seasoning, of course, that was in the sausage, and the onions and the garlic. You know, there was a lot going on in there anyway. But I hadn't put any herbs in until just now. And when I tasted it, it was perfect. That's why I wanted to set mine aside first. So we'll come back to can it tomorrow. Oh, you may have noticed there's no orzo in there. You cannot can rice or pasta in a jar of soup. We have to make the pasta when we take the jar out of the pantry, and we're going to use that for our supper. So I will be preparing a little bit of orzo tomorrow when I serve it to my son, but we'll have to either make rice or orzo to go with it at the time that we pull those jars out of the shelves. So tomorrow for the canning. Okay, now I've eaten out of this twice. Well, I did once and served again for my son. So you notice the level's down a bit. But if you recall, I added extra spice because it needs to be 50% liquid to can it. So, adding that much water. It's a half a gallon. Bring it up to heat. Now I'm gonna go get my new jars and wash them up and get them ready. Okay, so it's time to take my brand new, just brought back from Nogales canning jars and wash them up and get them ready for my minestrone. Okay, all clean and ready to go. Okay, so I'm ready here to start canning minestrone. We're coming along nicely. It's a little thinner than I would like, because they said it has to be 50% solids and 50% liquid, but still I think it's just beautiful with all those different veggies in there and stuff. And it tasted so good. Well, this is amazing to me. I've never had it turn out this perfectly. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And do you see the levels on all of those jars? They're all exact. And take a look inside my pan. I don't think I've ever had it come out that perfectly exact before. So blow mind. Awesome. All right, now don't forget, one part is very important: to take white vinegar and wipe the rims of your jars. For one thing, it helps you to check and make sure there are no cracks or nicks in your jars that would hamper a perfect seal. And for another, it's so easy to get a little bit of grease or a little bit of syrup or whatever it is that you're canning on the edge, and if the seal is not good, your food will not be good. So do wipe off your rims with white vinegar. And today is kind of a rough day for me. I have plain white vinegar, but it's all the way at the back of my house. And I got a lot of pain in my knees today. So I opened up this very comparatively costly white wine vinegar to use. You got to give yourself grace sometimes. So here's 5 of our 7 quarts. 2 of them did not seal well, so I have them back inside the canner. Okay, so I took the 1 jar that was extra. You remember we had 8 quarts and only 7 fit in the canner at a time. So I took the one that was left over and I took the 2 that didn't seal and I reprocessed them and they're all fine now. So we have 8 quarts of minestrone set up in the prepper pantry. That's cool. Okay. So there's your minestrone soup and canning it. Now the recipe, as always, and the instructions for canning will be in the more information down below in the description. And thank you so much for being here. And if you're new, welcome to my family. And if you're coming back, welcome back. Alrighty. Well, I really hope that you make some of this soup for yourself. It was delicious. This sounds arrogant, I'm sorry, but I really think this is the best minestrone soup I've ever made. At any rate, it's another one of those prepper pantry staple recipes. And you'll notice I other than the fresh carrots and the fresh celery, everything I used was either from the freezer or from my stock of cans in my pantry. So it's giving us practice, you know, on using the things that we have stored up and getting us used to working with those things. So thank you so much, and please leave a comment if you enjoyed this, or maybe you have a family recipe for minestrone that you'd like to share. That would be awesome. Love ya. Have a wonderful day. Toodles.